Let's turn now at 45 minutes into the commentary to exploring the Shema. Discussions on the issues of Trinity. Tonight, we're actually going to do something a little different. We're actually going to begin looking at the verses in this list of, let me scroll way down to my commentary. We've got a list here provided by Carm, Matt Slick, and Carm's website, Christian Apologetics and Research Ministry. And what Carm is going to do for us, and this will occupy a good chunk of our study from here going forward for the next few months, we're going to simply take a verse at a time, a passage at a time, a concept at a time. Father, Son, Holy Spirit are all called God, and we're going to look at certain passages and work our way through this chart passage by passage. And so this will be slightly different. But before we do that, what I want to do is just read contextually. Tonight, we're not actually going to study that. We're going to do like an exercise. We're going to pick on Genesis 1:1 and 1:26 and things like that to show you kind of where the direction of my study is going to go. But what we need to do first is just remind ourselves about something that I said in my study a long time ago, months ago, maybe even a year ago. It's a quote very earlier on in the study, exploring the Shema, paper 1, God is one. And so let me just read this quote to get us into this concept of how we're going to handle these passages. And then we're going to look at some verses as just an exercise tonight, okay? All right, so here's what I had to say months ago in my study. I said, and this is a quote from Kevin J. Conner, author of The Tabernacle of David. Here's what I had to say. Truth must be seen in all its glorious facets as one related whole. One of the hardest things to maintain in all of these various facets of truth that God is bringing to the church is balance. It is a point worthy of recognition that heresy in its many forms originated in truth. And that's just kind of the fact of the matter, right? You can't have a counterfeit dollar bill without the real dollar bill existing first. So truth precedes error is what Connor is trying to convey. In fact, it is impossible to have heresy apart from truth. There can never be the counterfeit without the genuine article first, and that's just a lesson in logic. So you have to remember that when we're approaching this topic of the nature of God, and is God one, is he three, is he more, truth came first. Truth came first. And of course, we Orthodox Christians readily affirm that, but the skeptics aren't so easy to affirm that. The skeptics would probably say, first you simply had details, and then error was there, and then somebody came along or their version of truth is a version of truth that doesn't fit our version of truth, and so they would say, well, God is any number of different things, and then the Christians came along and tried to define God, things like that. They would probably say that paganism probably pre-existed Christianity, and in fact, many skeptics of Christianity today try to bring that point up, is that paganism is older than Christianity. Paganism is older than Judaism, right? Many atheists and agnostics and pagans try to make that point of telling me. I've heard it from a pagan in real life, an outspoken one, who was a kind of a subject matter in his field, and he wanted to keep reminding we Christians that paganism is older than Christianity, and it's even older than Judaism and all those things. So let's continue. Connor continues, the counterfeit is never the original, and that's I'm so glad that that's the truth. The original comes first, the imitation follows. So it is with truth and error. Truth existed before error. Error uses truth to launch out upon, build upon, and based on that, we have to ask ourselves, what is heresy? Well, Connor defines it as, heresy is simply an aspect of truth taken to an extreme and pushed out of proportion with the whole body of truth. Right? Understand that again. Let me read that again. Heresy is an aspect of truth taken to an extreme and pushed out of proportion with the whole body of truth. So heresy launches from truth, and many times it still retains some semblance of truth, so that it's even all the more poisonous because it's hard to separate the fact from the fiction, the truth from the error. And then lastly, Connor says, heresy creates party spirit in those that respond to it. Okay, so I wanted to start with that so that we can now actually begin this exercise that we're going to do eventually. If we scroll down to the bottom of that chart, we're going to start next week at these, looking at these passages where we look at the Father as God in Philippians 1:2. And then we look at the Son as God in John 1:1. And then we'll look at the Holy Spirit called God in Acts 5:3-4. That's where we're going to go next week, and we'll just keep going down through the list. But tonight, let's start.